Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Alex Young, co-founder of Team Pomelo Games, the designers behind the Pretty Princess Pomelo card game, a citrus-themed game involving princesses, devastating pirates, friendship, mystery, betrayal, and magic. Pretty Princess Pomelo launched today on Kickstarter. And I got to tell you, this is a first in the history of the binge. We're talking to somebody who literally just launched their campaign less than an hour ago. Welcome to the binge, Alex. How are you doing? This is crazy.
I'm good, James. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. When you said when we kind of lined up the timing of this interview, I was like, is this guy a madman? Like he's going to launch, and then like less than an hour later, we're going to be going through his campaign. Like my eyes would be glued to my campaign. I wouldn't be able to think of anything else. So thank you for carving out some time for us. I mean, wow. How you doing? You must be running pretty high.
Yeah, I'd say filled with highs and lows with no middle ground right now. I'm to be honest, I'm happy that we did this. You know, I really wanted to be on your show. It's been very hot lately. You've had so many people listening and watching your videos, and you know, I'm a part of the Facebook group, as you know, and I try and catch the interviews or watch them later when I can. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming. Just for the listeners who are listening through the podcast or people who are watching the live, I actually met Alex, I guess almost 2.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, with the Newmarket board game meetup group. And I think it was like the second or third time I was there, Alex brought the prototype of this game, Pretty Princess Pomelo. It is a tongue twister for sure. But he brought this prototype to the game night. I had the honor of getting to play this back then. And it's so cool to see where it started and kind of where it is now and how far you guys have brought that design. Like it is impressive. I got to tell you, sir, just the journey of this game. I think the fundamentals are still there from that original prototype though. Is that correct? The actual core mechanic, I don't think you guys really changed too much, did you?
No, we didn't change the core mechanic all that much. We got inspired at the time by like various games, and when we decided to like try out a few mechanics and we found some things that worked, we just went with it. You know, obviously there are little adjustments as you go along with things, but like the core of it was still there, and it still is today. I'd say I'm pretty happy with that in terms of mechanics.
Yeah, it is crazy. So before we get into the game, I know there's other team members, so I want to make sure we acknowledge the other people that are part of your group. So take me through kind of who's on the team, what are their names, what do they do, what are their roles, and then how do you guys kind of know each other? Like how did this all kind of come together?
So it came together, to be honest. We're not unlike I think one of your other interviews where you had three people all together. They came up with that sort of, I think it was like that darkness game where the tiles change every. Yes, Night Cage. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're all we were all coworkers, you know. And one day we were just talking, you know, on one of our breaks, and we're all a fan of games. You know, we all love playing Unstealable Unicorns. We've all played Dungeons and Dragons to some extent. You know, we've even played more like party games like Cards Against Humanity, things like that. And we were always talking, or we had talked about, sorry, you know, at one time, if we were to invent a game, you know, what would that look like? How, you know, what would the theme be? What would the characters be? Where would their characters be there in general? You know, how would it all sort of build out? And then, as I remember it, one of my partners, he was very into like mixing drinks at the time, you know, and he had, and he had come up with some, you know, pretty interesting names for some of those drinks. And we kind of took that idea and, you know, ran with it a little bit. And, you know, he had also been working on an art piece where it showed like the different sizes of some citrus fruit just for fun.
Yeah.
You know, and we thought, why don't we use that as sort of a theme? You know, like if we were going to use something like that, what would the theme be? You know, so we took these citrus ideas and, you know, my two partners, myself a little bit too, but they're, you know, really, really big fans of magical girl shows and games and stuff like that. So like Sailor Moon is a very popular one.
Okay.
Madoka Magic is another one. There's a ton out there, but they're big fans, and I'm like, we could probably work something with this, and I remember when they first concepted the Pomelo character, the iconic character that we have for our game. As soon as I saw like the finished version of that, I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is 100% it. So,
and so
that's
you guys are all graphic designers, right? So,
yeah.
And obviously there's someone on the team is an actual illustrator as well, I think, right?
Two of them actually, yeah. So there's out of the three of us, two of them are illustrators, and I'm, just a regular graphic designer and
nice
working on a lot of the mechanics.
And what are the names of the other two gentlemen? What are their names?
Yeah, so Morgan Parker is one of them, and he's a very, very talented illustrator. And Nicholas Eglon, who's our other illustrator, and he's really, really talented too. He's done a lot of fan art on our Instagram, as well as regular art for us too. But like if you check out our Instagram, most of that is Nick, and he's so talented, and he did a lot of like the styles, like the style, like the color schemes.
Yep.
And I mean, everything looks fantastic. When Nick comes and shows me something, every time I'm blown away by it.
Yeah.
Just insane. It's absolutely insane. And even when he shows me something that's like half done, it looks amazing. And I'm like, Nick, this is incredible. He's like, oh, it's not done yet. I'm like, how much better could it get? Like,
yeah. I was following the Instagram account and I saw some of the early sketches, and then kind of as you see it polish, right? It's cool to kind of see that evolution. And so two illustrators who, obviously can draw in the same style, but you're going to have different styles, different approaches to design. So how do the two of them kind of merge that together on this design? Does one take a certain set of characters and the other takes a different set of characters, or how do they kind of make that work?
So actually at the beginning, I remember they had talked about what kind of style do we want this in. So before they did like a finished product, they drew a couple of like, I guess, thumbnails out and tried to like agree on a style that would work for us.
Yeah.
And a lot of anime is very angular. So I don't think they wanted to go that route specifically. We went sort of much more of like a curvaceous route because, all the girls are wearing dresses, and dresses aren't typically, pointy. So after they drew out a few thumbnails, I think they sort of refined that a little bit more with their two styles, and they sort of came together and agreed, okay, this is the style we're going with. It looks really clean, looks really good, and then that sort of led to a more finished product. And that's when I saw the finished version of Pomelo. I'm like, this is it. This is a character people are gonna resonate with and like, and that's when I knew.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then what kind of audience do you target with this? So obviously there's people that are fans of anime. I mean, I remember Astro Boy when I was a kid. I'm dating myself a little bit there, but you've got kind of your core anime audience, which I think obviously are going to gravitate heavily towards this. But is this for like the general person, this kind of a game? Like, is this something that would work well with kids? Is something more just adult based, or how would you best describe the audience that you guys are targeting with this?
To be honest, I would say the audience we're targeting is mostly board gamers. We're trying to target people who love anime as well, because I don't think there's a whole lot of board games out there that have a lot of anime themes. I know there's a few out there.
Sure.
I think I've played a couple with you actually, now that I come to think of it. But I think the primary demographic was gamers in general, and a lot of games have anime themes, and we wanted to sort of bring another one to board games because we're big gamers, and this felt like something that was definitely within our realm, all being graphic designers as well.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what we were thinking, and because we went with sort of I would say a primary female persona with just about almost every character we've got. It's actually attracting quite a few women as well in our demographic too. We're almost split right down the middle between men and women. So, I was actually really happy to hear that, because everybody should be included in a product like this. So.
Oh, absolutely. I just want to say Mike Barnett is actually in the lobby. He just said congrats on the launch, Alex. So let's talk about this launch. A very heartwarming congratulations from me as well. I actually am proud to say I was backer number 1. So as there was the first one live, I stole the number 1 spot from Andrew. Everyone knows.
Oh no.
Andrew's he likes to get the number 1 spot, so I beat him on this one, and I got the number 1 spot. But I believe Andrew's actually number 2. And so I'm actually share my screen for people that are listening and can't see this. You can always watch the video if you join the Board Game Binge Facebook group. You can see these lives, you can see replays, or you can check it out on YouTube. But I'll describe kind of what we're talking about here as well. So on your actual Kickstarter page, the first thing I see is you've got this really, really cool design. And, the video up front I thought was really neat. It does a great job of introducing the characters and the story. I almost thought that like, this is a cartoon somewhere that, these guys have just kind of ripped from in they're now create a card game, but the cartoon already exists, but it doesn't. You guys created all this for the card game, right? So I think that's pretty cool. Describe kind of how this game works. So you've got characters, you got elements, you got magic, gear, plot, and these citrine hearts. Try to kind of give us the basic gist of how you would play this game.
Okay, so plays 2 to 4, and your goal is to control the citron hearts while building up your team. And you want to have a full team of 5 in 2-player, and then a full team of 4 in 3-player, and a full team of 3 in 4-player.
Okay.
And you want to build up your full team of either all heroes or all villains, and control the citron hearts before the other members do. And the second you get your full team with the citron hearts, you win the game.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have. Go ahead.
I was going to say, how many citron hearts are there? Is it just one?
There's
card?
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just one card. We have other cards that prevent people from acquiring the citron hearts quite easily. So we have one mechanic in our game where you can attack other players with element cards. You'll see the light element card there, and those increase your star power. So if you want to attack someone, you can throw that light element on a character who's got light, like Pomelo, and that'll give you a huge star power boost, and you'll be able to take them out. But if you're lucky enough to have, an impenetrable shield card in your hand, which is the one right next to that light element, you can play an impenetrable shield card at any time during the game. You can throw that out and protect yourself from that attack, and stave off being defeated for a turn. And the second someone defeats someone else with an attack, the victor of that quick little battle will take the citron hearts, and now they have control over it.
So you have this kind of going back and forth then, do you? Like the citron hearts will kind of go back and forth between the two sides. And can you switch sides? Like, are you only good or only evil? Is there a way for you to kind of switch sides throughout the game, or how does that work?
So we have some cards in our game that change your alignment. So if you're a hero, like let's say you have 3 heroes on your team and you have 2 villains, we have a gear card called a moral compass card, which switches your alignment from hero to villain or villain to hero, vice versa. So we thought that was a really interesting way to work within your team. So let's say you wanted to use a villain ability, but you're all heroes. Now you have this gear card that like switches their alignment completely, and it's like, boom, I'm right back in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to describe this game to somebody, is there another game out there that's got a similar kind of gist to this? So somebody kind of wants to get in their head, okay, it's kind of like this kind of a game. Obviously you've got your own spin on it, but this is the general idea of kind of the way that this works, or?
Yeah, I would say it has some similarities to Unstealable Unicorns, because Unstealable Unicorns requires you to get like I think it's 7 unicorns before you can win. And there's other different kinds of cards in Unstealable Unicorns too. Like there's magic cards, there's instant cards. They have a pretty strong variety. But we've just thrown a few more elements into our game, and you can play as many cards as you like during a turn as well. So there's a limit on number of cards, except for character cards, of course. But
Now,
but that's it.
talk to me about this hologram
Mhm.
card. So that caught my eye as I was
Yeah.
scrolling down. I'm like, whoa, hologram cards. Okay,
Yeah.
what's this all about? Is it collectible, or what's how does that work?
So it's actually a booster pack. What we wanted to do was with this stretch goal was hopefully we get to that amount. But we
Sure.
wanted to, you know, provide a booster pack of hollow foil character cards to go along with this. We were really interested in seeing some hollow foil cards. I think you actually showed me one that you were interested in a little while ago,
Yeah.
for a different game that you
Yep.
had looked into. And I thought, you know what, those would be really cool. And I wanted our stretch goals to not be something that would necessarily be a part of the game. I wanted it to be something that was a bit more extra.
Yep.
I think Mike actually said that in the interview you did with him a little while ago, where like when he's backing a project, when he sees stretch goals, he sort of appreciates things that are a bit more extra that come with the game, but not necessarily are a part of a game.
Sure.
So it's not something that like enhances or I guess is like an extra mechanic of the game. It's like something that would maybe enhance your experience. So like the hollow foil cards, we think would be a nice way to enhance the experience of the game, not necessarily like you need it to play it, you know?
Gotcha. And there's 217 cards in this box. That sounds pretty heavy. So what's the
Yeah.
weight of the game? Like what's this? How much does this weigh?
It weighs 1 pound and 2 ounces, I think. I actually weighed this out because we needed that for 1 pound, 3.2 ounces.
3.2
So
ounces
we
is like
needed
what? It's like 600 grams or something. Yeah. Okay.
something like that. Yeah, we needed to check that out to make sure that we could ship it at the appropriate price. But yeah, so
Yeah.
217 cards, 80 unique cards, I think, in this
Wow.
box. Everything, yeah, all of our artwork is 100% unique. We did all of our artwork. And when you actually get the box too, you'll notice that the number of cards does not fit in the box. I mean, that was done on purpose because we have maybe a couple of plans. I don't want to give too much away of maybe throwing some expansions in. And I know that something that infuriates me is that when you get a game and then an expansion comes with that game, a couple months later, but it comes in its own box
Yeah.
and you can't fit everything in the one box. So I thought to myself, look, if we're going to do an expansion, we need to make sure that that expansion can fit in this box without a problem.
So just be clear, when you say it doesn't fit in the box, what you mean is that there's enough space left over in the box that you can
Yes.
include. So there's some free space in the box so you can add your
Yes.
expansions in without having to have all these multiple different boxes. That's a pet
Yes.
peeve of mine as well.
Yep.
Anytime you get an expansion, the first thing I want to do is take that expansion out of the expansion box and throw it in the original
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
And it's
just
frustrating when you
big
can't do
time.
that. So then you have to carry different boxes, right? Which is kind of crazy. And
Mhm.
you get these aftermarket boxes that
Yep.
people do that then put a bunch of different components together so you can get everything in one comfy box.
Yep.
So talk to me about this Kickstarter campaign and some of the journey you've gone through to get here. So obviously I know you've been working on this game at least 2 years that I've known you. But when you got serious about saying, okay, we think we're ready to start doing going down the Kickstarter path, what are some of the hurdles you came across, or what are some of the things that you encountered that were maybe surprises for you or challenges that you guys had to overcome?
For us, because we're all graphic designers, we're not really in the business world all that much. We don't really know anything about business. So one of the biggest hurdles for us was making sure that we do this and we do it right. So I didn't know anything about how to register a business or even open a business account. I didn't even know if that was something I could just walk in and do to the bank. I really didn't know. Registering a business name, getting a business number, these are all things that I didn't know. So I had to, get a little bit of help from a friend of mine who's a very talented lawyer.
Yeah.
And he was, able to help us out with a few things and, get things sorted out. And I think that was probably one of our biggest hurdles. And then I would say one more big hurdle, or maybe medium-sized hurdle, is especially if you have partners, making sure that everybody's happy while you're working on this game. Because a lot of times people have some conflicting ideas, and then we have to figure out, okay, what would the best thing be?
And how'd you
And I
resolve
would
that?
say, well, I was going to say what I would say is compromise is probably the best way to do that.
Yeah.
And definitely if you have Tabletop Simulator, testing out your game and see what works and what doesn't, because that's the true way you're going to know if this idea is great or this idea is not so great. Trying it out, compromise, and in that way you can all achieve what you want to achieve.
And where are you guys manufacturing this game? So like, who's your manufacturer, and how's that all kind of come together?
So we're using a company called Ad Magic, and they actually produced, as far as I know, pretty sure I did my research on them as far as what they produced in the past, but they were the ones who made Cards Against Humanity.
Okay.
So we were looking for something that was reasonably high quality, because we wanted to, especially the box, because we know that sometimes if you go with a standard printing on a box, you put it on a shelf or you take it on a trip and it could get very dirty. So we wanted to do like a matte print, and matte print cleans really easily.
Yeah.
So we didn't want anything to get dirty. And Ad Magic is pretty reputable with printing games. So we wanted to go with a company that would do that for us.
And then in terms of fulfillment, how are you guys doing fulfillment?
We're using a company, I think it's a sister company or a company that they're reasonably close with, called Black Box. So they sent over some shipping information to me a little while ago. We spoke a bit back and forth through email, and I think that they are probably one of our better options too. They gave us a really good price on shipping. They're pretty close to the Ad Magic facility. So for, shipping from A to B is going to be a really good price too.
And this all out of the States, is it, or where's this based out of?
Yeah, it's all out of the States. So I'm pretty sure Ad Magic is in Washington, I want to say. And then Black Box is in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken.
And I noticed on the campaign page, you've got Canada, USA, Mexico, and the UK for your shipping rates. But is there plans to take pledges from around the world? Or are you just focusing on these 4 markets, or what's the thought process there?
Right now we're focusing on just these 4 markets. I wouldn't mind trying to get into a couple of other places. The way Black Box does things for shipping, at least in Europe, is they have blocks of countries that they'll ship to in Europe.
Sure.
So if somebody in the same block as the people in UK want to jump on board, I can try and open it up to them. But we were primarily focusing on these markets. I know UK is really big into board games too, so I thought we should try and include them because they love stuff like this. But these were our 3 biggest ones, like was Canada, Mexico, and the States. So for sure we had to include those.
Of course. And is it fair if somebody is interested in maybe they're in a country that's not listed here, just to send a message through the Kickstarter page and just say, hey, I'm interested in backing you. I'm in this particular country. Is that fair? That's something that we did actually on the Queen of Scots game. If you remember that one, we had, I think, 3 markets. And just as the pledges came in, people were like, hey, I'm in this country. Will you ship there? And the answer is, yeah, okay, we will. So we started off small and we expanded as we went. So I guess the best thing people can do is just actually reach out to you and ask that very question. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. We're trying to get this game to as many people as we can. And, I'm just focusing on these 4 markets for now. But if, we get a lot of momentum from, France, people in France are interested, for sure we'll talk about opening it up to them, or at least getting them copies as soon as we can.
Yeah. And what is the biggest challenge that you've come across? That's one thing Mike is asking in the lobby there. He's like, Alex, what's the biggest challenge you came across in this entire process? What was it?
The biggest challenge. What I would say too. I would say one is don't underestimate how long it takes to put together a Kickstarter. From someone who's the outside looking in, especially if you go on a Kickstarter you've never heard of, it looks like, wow, they put so much effort into this. Oh, I'm sure it only took them, a couple months. And the truth is, it probably took them a couple of years.
Yeah.
I was hoping to come to Kickstarter way sooner than we did, but that did not happen because we were just not ready at the time. So don't underestimate, how long it takes. And the other one would be, sometimes it can be really hard to, start your project. I think a lot of people that you've interviewed already have said the same thing, where like one of the hardest things is just start your project. So just start, if you guys have an idea out there, just start. Don't wait. Don't sit down. Don't watch TV. Just if you have an idea, start it.
Nice. So where does Pretty Princess Pomelo go from here? Are you guys going to get into magazines? Are you getting into some kind of animated show, maybe a YouTube series? Like where's the journey kind of take you?
So for me, I really want to do a show. I think this has got TV show written all over it.
Oh yeah.
But I know one of my partners wants to do a visual novel. I think one of the other ones wants to do potentially like a game, maybe like a video game. I'd love to do a video game too. But we talked about, if this does become a thing, where would we like to take this? Visual novel, show for sure. Maybe just build this out into a franchise and see where we can take it. I'd even love to see some like collectible pop figurines. I think those would be kind of cool down the road.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Certainly the collectible market. Do you see yourself taking this to some of these anime markets? Like once obviously COVID is, resolved, or I don't want to use the word lifted because it's not like it's lifted, but once, travel kind of resumes around the world, do you see yourself and your team kind of going to maybe some of these other countries, visiting and trying to introduce them to Pretty Princess Pomelo?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think once we have a solid foundation under us, where people are starting to hear about us, get a little bit of word of mouth, a little bit of reputation. I'd love to take this to other countries. I'd love to take this to even just other places in Canada, because there's going to be corners of Canada that haven't heard of us and might be interested. There's board gamers all over the place. You just got to know where to look, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to show it to as many people as possible.
So how do people best get involved in this? If they want to kind of follow along, what would you say to them? How can they follow along this whole journey and kind of dive into this world you guys have created?
Yeah, so you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all at Team Pomelo Games. We're on Kickstarter as of about an hour and a half ago. Pretty Princess Pomelo. I don't think it's quite searchable yet because I think they're still reviewing us, but it should be by now, I think. You go to our website, prettyprincesspomelo.com, and we have, character information, some lore on there. There's a much more detailed how to play on there as well.
Okay, cool.
We're still running our FAQ page. We have to get that up still because we had a couple of weird interactions with the game. So I wanted to make sure there was some ruling information on there in case people were concerned.
Sure.
But yeah, any of those, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, prettyprincesspomelo.com. Check it out.
Awesome. Well, what I'll do as well, when we're finished here and we post this video, I'll make sure that we put the link to your Kickstarter page in the link to this actual video in the Facebook group, as well as on the if you're listening to the audio podcast, simply look into the details of this particular episode, and we'll make sure we've got the link in there for people to find. So, Alex, I just want to say, man, it's been great to watch your journey so far, and I wish you nothing but the best of success, and good luck to you and your team.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have a live stream October 17th on Saturday at 1 p.m. Almost forgot. Wanted to mention it.
All right. So once again, there's a live stream, and how do they follow that live stream?
Team Pomelo Games at Twitch. 1 p.m. is when we start. We're going to go over how to play the game. We've got some cool, fun guests and a couple of play testers, and you'll be able to watch us play it on Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, if there's anybody who wants to kind of dive in and get a feel for how this game plays, certainly follow that live stream, and maybe we'll include a link to that as well in the Facebook group here as well.
Oh, Alex, yeah, that would be great.
All the best to you. You take care, man. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Bye-bye.